Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, fellow brothers and sisters. I would like to extend my thanks to AlBaraka Group on behalf of Borsa Istanbul for organizing this productive summit and you, valuable guests, for joining. I have the honor of moderating this session, which features prominent Islamic finance scholars who have much to share with you today from their know-how and experiences. Before we start the session, I would like to share an exciting recent development from Borsa Istanbul. We developed a one-stop source for all Islamic securities that trade on Borsa Istanbul markets. Detailed information about all financial instruments compatible with participation finance criteria is now available on Borsa Istanbul participation finance web pages. So you can go to borsaistanbul.com and look for the participation finance link, and there you will find all the products, all the Islamic products, we call it participation products in Turkish, you can find there. They are all available on the website. We also thank Participation Banks Association of Turkey for agreeing to promote this material on their homepage as well. So it's also on Participation Banks Association of Turkey's website. Our CEO, Dr. Korkmaz Ergun, has written letters to all participation banks in Turkey, inviting them to promote this new resource on their websites as well. So inshallah, we will expand the news and facilitate more and more investors to come and utilize these Islamic finance products in the capital markets. So this page features all tradable Islamic products, such as participation equity indices, lease certificates, Turkish lira overnight participation reference rate, gold-denominated indices, as well as committed transactions market. Through the cooperation of participation banking sector and capital markets institutions, we hope and believe this initiative will facilitate further interest from investors into Islamic products. We are happy and proud to announce this recent and exciting development here today. We would like to invite all shareholders of the participation finance sector to promote this resource through their networks as well. So without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker. Hold on one second. Professor Ahmet Şuayb Gündoğdu from Istanbul Sabahattin Zaim University. He is also a senior professional at the Islamic Development Bank. In addition to having significant scientific publications in Islamic finance, Mr. Gündoğdu authored 3 landmark books. Today we will hear his perspective on Islamic investment solutions, Islamic instruments, more specifically capital market instruments and sukuk. Professor Gündoğdu will mention the role of capital markets, the array of products, investment strategies, and more importantly, innovations in Islamic investment product environment. So, Professor, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much. Do I have my presentation or should I just make it?
It's up to you, however you like.
And if I can have my presentation on the screen, it would be good. Okay.
You can skip this one. That's mine.
How it works?
Can we move on to the next presentation, please? From Professor Gündoğdu. And one of our panelists unfortunately missed his flight, so we will be 3 panelists today. So we are looking for Mr. Gündoğdu's presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me stand over there.
Yes, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So Islamic finance, in reality, I can say it started 50 years back, and as an academician, I put the landmark as the establishment of Islamic Development Bank, and I have a certain reason for this. And main reason at those days, most of the countries, they were not accepting Islamic, the rules to be get into their, economic and financial life. When the Islamic Development Bank was established 50 years back, it was established with an international agreement, and then many countries, they accepted Islamic rules to be implemented in their economics and financial life. After that, we have seen massive growth in Islamic finance industry. We had Islamic banks established, they grow, and we have academic institutions, we have forums, and after 50 years, we came to a stage, and this stage where we came, there are some good things, and there are some things which needs to be improved. And good thing, we have institutional establishments now, and Islamic finance is now mainstreamed. But also there are issues which needs to be addressed. Otherwise, Islamic finance has a tendency to converge to conventional finance and to be slowly be part of the global financial system, not as an Islamic, but anything else. So let me a little bit explain you my understanding of the main causes of this conversion of Islamic finance to conventional finance. Here, this is the existing financial framework, and in the phase one, we have lending to the borrowers. It can be companies and households. Banks, they lend them, and when they lend them, they create money, and this money come back to banks with the deposits, capital markets, sukuks, and syndication. And then they are pulled in a box. I call it the box, big box, and all the risk-related issue arises, like capital adequacy ratio, value at risk. And this complicated formula here, it is from quantum physics, but I can assure you, if you go to banking industry, or formulas are more complicated and more complex than the quantum physics one. The idea, they try to manage the risk in this box because of this pooling of all this, the different resources and lending, and there is a mismatches. There is a currency mismatch, and there is a tenor mismatch, and all sorts of mismatch. To manage this, there are a big effort. But all these formulas, what we have to manage this box cannot factor bank runs if the depositors, they want to withdraw their money. And there is a big challenge to manage tenor currency mismatch. And most importantly, what happens if the default rates keep increase more than expected? For instance, in credit cards, we expect 5% default. If we had inflation, cost of capital, at the end, bankers, they come up with the rate for the credit cards, but what happens in the default rate goes to 20%. And these formulas, complicated formulas, they cannot factor this. That's why, at the end, there is the issue of moral hazard arises. And what is this? Bankers, when these risks are not manageable anymore, they say, look, we cannot do anything. Now it's the problem of the central bank, it's the problem of the state, and it's the problem of the people now, because we cannot manage it. But the reason is there is a serious problem with this, the financial framework, and Islamic banks, they also operate within this framework. Basically, they collect deposit, they resort capital market resource mobilization, and they syndicate loans from other banks from international market. And what is the issue with this mismatch? Currency mismatch and the tenor mismatch. Basically, this mismatch is the basic characteristic of any financial crisis. Most of the, especially students, they ask why we keep having this financial crisis again and again and again. Because there is a fatal mistakes in the framework. There is the infrastructure issue. This framework is wrong. That's why, because of this mismatch, we keep having regular financial crisis. And it's all happened because of this mismatch between phase one and phase two. Historically, Islamic Bank developed deposit collecting business model, same business model in 80s, and there was a reason for this. At those days, we did not have enough ICT technology to directly link phase one lending and phase two resource mobilization. So the only way, because of the technological constraint, was to have the deposit collecting bank business model. So because of this, we have a lot of complex activities within the box, that I mentioned. And this is the same for Islamic banks also. So Islamic banks, in this regard, we cannot say they are different than conventional banks when it comes to, the systematic risk in the market. So another issue is, that with this framework, we cannot have enough assets. And in the industry, we always ask, we resort to this issue because there is no, the asset to, there is no enough asset so we can, create some, the product out of it. And most unfortunately, because of this, we end up having a non-Sharia compliant product, and most notorious one are buy-and-based sukuk. And technically, this is a sell and leaseback of the conventional system. And unfortunately, now this sukuk spread from the interbank market back to the company sukuks. And now many banks, they issue sukuk for the company, and they lend instead of the direct lending. Other one is the commodity muraba sukuk, and also commodity muraba syndications. And again, these practices of the phase one, phase two, now it's spreading to phase one. So basically, here we have the major issue for syndication. We have commodity muraba syndication. Although it's called muraba, it is an organized tawarruk and it's not Sharia compliant. And second, we have a buy-alina sukuk. Although name is Arabic, it is a sell and leaseback which is not Sharia compliant. And now, after 50 years of the Islamic banking, we came that because of the problems of this phase two, now these same products, they are migrating to phase one also. So we have an even bigger problem now. But there are also solutions. First of all, and we can be a little bit hopeful, because as of today, we have good, sufficient ICT technology, and we can establish a business model which can address the requirement of Islamic finance to directly link phase one and phase two. And rather than focusing on the deposit collecting, and Islamic banks, they can move slowly to a different business model. We can keep the same business model, but we can have used the investment accounts, and with investment accounts slowly we can start to link phase one and phase two activities. And sukuk issuance for the companies, instead of regular lending, it should be stopped, because this sukuk issuance for the companies, it is for window dressing and some other purposes, and they don't serve the purpose, and they also add additional risk to the capital markets, or systematic risk. And most importantly, real solution to all this problem, including the investment opportunity, capital market, I don't think it will come from the sukuk, but rather it will come from the murabaha. The reason is, for a company or household, mostly 90% of the transaction is murabaha based, because it's short term, less than 1 year, the transactions. And 10% is capex. So which is very clear, the murabaha will be a very dominant contract in Islamic finance for lending. And for these reasons, we should do something for phase two to directly connect these murabahs with the capital markets. And this can be done with two-step murabaha, and for this we need a stock exchange products and the frameworks and the infrastructure, so we can directly link this murabaha contract to two-step murabaha or resource mobilization possible, the opportunities. So I just listed the to-dos and not to-dos. For phase one lending, we should not do commodity murabaha, because it's not a murabaha, it's an organized tawarruk, it's not Sharia compliant. And we should not lend with sukuk to the companies, with sell and leaseback. and musharaka and mudaraba, they should not be done in my view. The reason is Islamic finance is profit risk sharing, but profit risk sharing is not for phase one. Profit risk sharing is phase two. Every investment should take the risk of their activities. In existing financial infrastructure, basically all the risk is managed by the banks, and banks at the end they cannot manage this risk, and the central banks involved, and it becomes the problem of the country. So that's why it's not fair, and this is the problem. Islamic finance should be profit risk sharing, but not at the phase one, but at phase two. So if you have a big money, you want to make investment, you are responsible for your investment. If it fails, you will not make money, but not the public. So that's why this musharaka and mudaraba contract or sukuk, they should not be considered for phase one because they are resource mobilization contracts. They are not for lending, developed for lending. And for lending, we should keep to muraba, and it is expected to be at least 90% of our lending. And there is a lot of criticism on Islamic finance, why we only have muraba. It's very simple because Islamic finance only replicates the real economy. In real economy, 90% of the transactions are trade related, less than 1 year. So 90% of the lending should be in muraba, it's very clear. So it is not very much fair. We should continue ijara for capex and salam and istisna for project finance. And for phase two, what we should do and what we should not do. We should stop commodity muraba syndications, and we should stop sukuks based on bilateral and commodity muraba. They are not Sharia compliant, and we should rather focus on two-step muraba, mudaraba, musharaka, and sukuk, of course, Sharia compliant sukuks. And major challenge now we have, not challenge, but opportunity we have, we can come up with a totally new understanding of finance, and we can give this to as a gift to the world. If we can develop a trading platform in between two of them, and to directly link this contract on the phase one and phase two. And there are more studies needs to be done. And I think we covered a lot of fraud now, and we can now start slowly to implement them. So in this way, I think we can stop this conversion of Islamic finance to conventional finance, and we can come up with a financial system which does not culminate into the unfairness and the moral hazard of the conventional finance, which at the end they get the benefit for themselves, and if they fail because of risk management, it becomes the problem of everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the excellent remarks, Professor Gündoğdu. Much appreciated. We now turn to Professor Masum Billah. He's a professor of finance and insurance in the Islamic Economics Institute at King Abdulaziz University in Saudi Arabia. Having had almost 3 decades of research experience and over 40 highly referred books and chapters, Professor Billah will focus on Maqasid Al-Shariah, the main driver for development, sustainability, and general benefits. We will hear from him on how does Islamic economy matter and its uniqueness and originality. He will also touch upon Maqasid framework and its role in managing sustainability. Professor, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much.
Presentation, please. Is it possible to reflect the presentation, or are we having an issue? Okay, there you go.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Since we have very time constraint, let me finish in 5 to 7 minutes time, inshallah.
And you have 15 minutes, it's okay.
Okay. we have three questions. Number one, with the Maqasid Al-Shariah itself can be the main driver for development. Second question, whether Maqasid Al-Shariah can position itself to be the role model of sustainability. And third question, at what extent Maqasid Al-Shariah can ensure common benefits for all, Muslim, non-Muslim, and with universal value. Now, let's examine these three questions and we come up with a solution. Core principles of Maqasid Al-Shariah. Here I just cite here only the core principles. We have related principles. There are 4 core principles: rights, obligation, fair and justice, cooperation, trust, and honesty. These are the core principles of Maqasid Al-Shariah. Now, I would like to relate how Maqasid Al-Shariah can ensure position itself as the main driver for development. Now, we have the measurement for the core principles of Maqasid Al-Shariah, the ad-daruriyah, essential, al-hujjiyah, needs and complements, then the tahsiniyah, luxuries, and then the hybrid means the combination. Right? Now, core principles of, I would like to relate in what extent the core principles of Maqasid Al-Shariah relate or has interrelation with the development. We have 13 principles, okay, for development. There are 6 general principles and 7 corporate principles. The 6 general principles are differentiating rights and wrong, justice, freedom, cooperation, use and utilization, moderation. Now, 7 principles here: incorporate approach, market focus, poverty alleviation, industry cluster, word communities, investment, and human capital. Now, to justify here, okay, further, with the Maqasid Al-Shariah can position itself as the main driver for development. Answer is yes, indeed. We have, let's say, about 13 pillars of development. As I mentioned earlier, differentiating rights and wrong, justice, freedom, cooperation, use and utilization, and so on. So now, if we look at this particular diagram, whereby those all principles are also available within the core principles of Maqasid Al-Shariah. Therefore, we can conclude here that prerequisites or the pillars of development have the core-relationship with the principles of Maqasid Al-Shariah, and therefore the Maqasid Al-Shariah is in a position to ensure that it has the capacity to ensure that it is the main driver for the development. Next here, the core objectives of Maqasid Al-Shariah, or the core objective of Sharia. Here, we have 4 objectives. Four objectives: protection of faith, ad-din, protection of life, nafs, protection of intellect, aql, and protection of wealth. There are 4 objectives of Sharia. Now, prerequisites of any sustainability, strategic economic growth, we can see that we examine here that the core objective of Sharia has some relationship or the co-relationship with the prerequisites of sustainability. Strategic economic growth, maintaining and using natural resources, quality production, quality of life, and environment. Now, pillars of sustainability, as I mentioned earlier, that economic growth, natural resources, production, skilled nation, marketing, etc. So those are the pillars of sustainability, have the close relationship with the objectives of Sharia, co-objectives of Sharia, as I mentioned earlier, and therefore it is concluded here that the Maqasid Al-Shariah is in a position to ensure the better sustainability in all aspects. So in other words, to conclude, further conclude that Maqasid Al-Shariah position itself as the main driver for the sustainable development. Now, the core benefits of Maqasid Al-Shariah. Now, we have to answer the third question here, whether Maqasid Al-Shariah can provide the common benefits for all, I mean, regardless of Muslim or non-Muslim, whatever it is, all creatures. Like we have core benefits, namely the human welfare and noble personality building, developing cooperation, care and concern, achievement and happiness, trust, many tawakkul, and the last is the avoid wrong and appreciate right. Now, human demands, those are the components that I mentioned earlier. Those are the components are demanded by the human being or creatures, okay? Those are the basic benefits, okay? So now, the Maqasid Al-Shariah, the core objectives of Sharia, the objective of Sharia is the this human welfare, noble personality, and so on, as I mentioned earlier. Therefore, you can see that from the diagram, there is a co-relationship with the human demands and the benefits of in Maqasid Al-Shariah. And therefore, to conclude here, that Maqasid Al-Shariah can ensure the common benefits for all with universal value. So let's mind map here. Holistic fundamentals and principles of Maqasid Al-Shariah aim at well-being of creatures in the worldly life and eternity. A closer look reveals further that any development with sustainable impact generally aims at well-being of creatures, which is in fact aligned with the spirit of Maqasid Al-Shariah. To further conclude here, that Maqasid Al-Shariah position itself the main driver for any development with sustainable impact in caring for well-being of all creatures with universal value. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Masum. That was really a very insightful, excellent presentation. We now turn to Dr. Ali Sakti, a senior economist at the Central Bank of Indonesia. He has over 20 years of experience in Islamic economic research and has authored 11 books and 10 academic papers. He will talk about the global expansion of Islamic non-for-profit institutions, more specifically, evolution of zakah institutions and funds. Utilizing case studies, Dr. Sakti examines successful zakah funds, lays out challenges and opportunities, as well as the role of technology. Dr. Sakti, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, moderator. I will, because of the limitation of time of the session, I will jump to the theory, the basic theory of zakah. This discussion is very useful, especially for brother and sister student here. If you look at the macroeconomic perspective, the contribution of zakah, we can look at the first figure. Zakah and other Islamic social finance instruments, such as wakaf, sadaqah, play a crucial role from a macroeconomic perspective. Zakah basically provide purchasing power for the poor community. So zakah contribute to the economy through the consumption sector. And we have also wakaf. Wakaf contribute on the investment sector. So basically, this social finance sector play a very important role in our economy. If you look at the figure 2, the second figure, by using the production possibility frontier curve, we can see the contribution of zakah. The zakah, together with wakaf, they can increase the output of the economy, right? So the purchasing power, the production possibility frontier curve will shift positively to the right. And this increase will promote the satisfactions of the people, because the point of tangency between production possibility frontier and social indifference curve increase to another level. By using this analysis, we may say that the social finance sector will strengthen the inclusive and productive characteristic of the Islamic economy. Nowadays, many experts talk about financial inclusion, inclusive economy, inclusive growth. In fact, Islam has been talking about inclusiveness since the first day of the development of Islamic society. If we look at the next slide, the contribution of zakah and other instruments in social finance sector play a significant role in the pandemic period. Because of the policy of working from home, physical distancing, lockdown, had an impact on the decline of economic transaction. And this caused economic difficulties, especially for the micro enterprises. And we believe, together with digitalizations, social finance have been able to help economy by keeping the economic contraction from getting deeper, meaning that social finance can play a role in flattening the curve of the crisis. We all know that in the pandemic period, all the engines of economy, such as consumption, investment, and also external trade, was stopped. The only engine working is only government spending, right? But in this time, at that time, the economy helped by the zakah and wakaf, sadaqah, to keeping the economy still alive. And we move to the next slide. This slide wants to tell us about the transitions in practicing of zakah from the early period of Islamic society to the modern time. Before the modern time, mostly the administration of zakah dominated by government agency. But in this time, so many players from private sectors. Unlike in the past, the practice of zakah today is more inclined to the management of zakah in the form of funds, because it is easier, more flexible in the management. The development of digital technology then also affect the form of institutions and the management of zakah fund. The development of digital technology encourage the establishment of digital-based zakah institutions, which make it easier to collect and distribute. This technology is able to increase the outreach of zakah for all communities. And we move to the next slide. The magnitude of the potential of Islamic social finance sector has encouraged many parties to establish Islamic social finance institutions, both initiated by the government and private sector. Even the institutions such as the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees established Refugee Zakah Fund in 2017. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees sees great potential in zakah to meet the needs of refugees around the world. And then I try to to show you the three different type of zakah institutions. The first one is Islamic reliefs, based on the non-governmental organizations. We have all known about these Islamic relief. The second one is Basnas, Badan Amil Zakat Nasional, a government agency from Indonesia. But I want to focus on the kitabisa.com. Kitabisa.com is an Indonesian online fundraising applications and website founded in 2013. As of September 2022, kitabisa.com platform has managed to provide more than 500 billion in donations. The platform has been used by more than 7 million users, and around 63,000 donations are distributed every day. This platform also offers services for the people who are willing to get involved in social projects as volunteers. And back to the Refugee Zakat Fund by UNHCR. Since the Refugee Zakat Fund was launched in 2017 until 2022, Refugee Zakat Fund has helped more than 6 million refugees. In 2022 alone, Refugee Zakat Fund is able to raise around 38 million USD, which can help more than 1.5 million refugees. In this slide, I want to show you one of the initiatives to strengthen the Zakah governance. In order to create a well-established, transparent, and accountable Islamic social finance institutions, IRTI, ISDB, and Bank Indonesia, in cooperation with Basnas and BWI, the government agency on Wakaf of Indonesia, supported by the authorities and social finance players from Malaysia, Singapore, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, India, Pakistan, Sudan, and Bosnia, has prepared Zakah core principles and Wakaf core principles. The ZCP and WCP are intended to serve as a guideline for Zakah and Wakaf institutions to become professional institutions capable of implementing good Amil or good Nazir governance. Zakah core principle was launched at the UN Humanitarian Summit on May 2016 in Istanbul. The ZCP consists of 18 core principles, while Wakaf core principle was launched on October 2018 during the IMF World Bank annual meeting in Bali, Indonesia. The WCP consists of 29 core principles. The area regulation of ZCP and WCP is relatively the same, such as legal foundations, supervisions, government, risk management, and Sharia governance. For Zakah core principle, there is a one area addition, which is this disbursement process. Finally, we come to the conclusions that Zakah, including Sodaqah and Wakaf, is now not only used to fulfill the basic needs of the vulnerable group of populations. They are also funding sustainable development projects, empowerment, education, healthcare initiative. The social sector can even become the third sector, supporting private and public sector in achieving economic prosperity. Global cooperation is needed so that the mobilizations and distribution of Islamic social fund can reach all the vulnerable groups around the world. Optimizing the use of digital technology and innovating social finance instruments are required to enhance the usefulness of Islamic social finance institutions. In the future, The interactions of social finance institutions between countries will increase. So the level of professionalism and trust must be maintained, which is why an international standard setting body for Islamic social finance sector is needed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sakti. That was a very insightful presentation. May I ask to bring the screen the initial presentation from Borsa Istanbul before we move into the questions, please. And may I also get from you, Dr. Sakti? Yeah, thank you very much. I just want our audience to visualize what I have mentioned in the beginning. Yes. So this is the website that I have mentioned in the beginning of my speech. As you can see, the one on top is Borsa Istanbul website. And on the right-hand side, you can see a new link for the participation finance. And same in the Participation Banking Association website, we have a similar link. And once you click on that link, you will be able to access to all the Islamic products that are available in Turkish capital markets right now through Borsa Istanbul website. And that, as you can see, participation shares and equity indices, lease certificates, and you can see the list of shares that are available and list of indices that are available. We have a number of participation indices. I'm very excited to announce these news to you because this is a new product and it's an important development, I believe, for the Islamic finance sector in Turkey. The overnight participation reference rate, which is a benchmark being calculated by Borsa Istanbul. We also have gold-denominated indices, lease certificate indices, and committed transactions market. So just to give some highlights about the BIST participation index here, and to give you an idea of the size of the investment in the Sharia compliant shares. We have out of 556 shares that are publicly traded in Borsa Istanbul, 240 of them are Sharia compliant, and we have about 6 million investors having investments in these shares, which a total market cap of 140 billion US dollars. So I think that's an incredible state that we are in terms of how our capital market have evolved and the kind of direction that we are moving. So I just wanted to highlight that once more. And without further ado, we can move on to the questions. Any questions to our speakers, please? Yes. You can close the screen, please.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. First of all, it's a blessing for being a participant in this wonderful summit. And among these blessings is for the first time meeting a professor who had benefited so much from his works. And thanks to the panelists, Prof. Billah, not only from his works, but from his personal suggestions and guide. Prof. Billah, as someone who has extensive works on cryptocurrency, even though the Sharia compliance of cryptocurrency still remains challenging in our present time, what do you think, if crypto is the future, or at least there is future for crypto, how does cryptocurrency, or how may cryptocurrency contribute to the Islamic global economy, taking into consideration the fundamental principles or characteristics of cryptocurrency as they are? Thank you, sir. Okay. So.
Thank you. That's a very nice question. Yes, Professor. Yes. Oh, I think it works.
Okay. Thank you very much, my dear brother. It's jumping to a different topic now.
Yes.
Now, cryptocurrency that I have concluded in my writing and the article is basically that we have to differentiate between the cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin and others. They are being questioned because of the elements of gharar involved herein. In a cryptocurrency, first of all, there should be a registered company, I mean the provider, okay? And then in the existing cryptocurrencies that we know, none of them so far have any registered company. And that's the provider. It's a virtual, mostly virtual. But alternatively, what we are suggesting that for a Sharia compliant cryptocurrency, there should be a registered company, registered bank to have the transaction. Okay, no virtual only just payment, but there should be a bank so that if there is anything misappropriation or misleading or something like somebody misuse the fund, the public fund, then at least we can go and we can complain, we can ask, we can refer to the registered company and registered bank. All right? So that there will not be any virtual uncertainty, So this is the main issue and main concern. Other than that, we have about 7 stages that we have to go through in 7 to 9 minutes time for each transaction, like till the e-wallet, the hash code and everything, the process, There are 7 to 9 minutes that I have established a model where each transaction takes place the 7 to 9 minutes. So in this particular cycle of the transaction, so far from my humble investigation, there is no any answer, the elements contrary to the Sharia principles. Except major is here that most of the cryptocurrency that we are observing, witnessing in the world, they do not have the registered company. There is no any specific bank, the account that can be accountable to tomorrow, there is no such. So this is the only issue that we are raising here. Other than that, there is no any other the co-contradiction with the Sharia principles. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Widad Osman. I am the founder of Family Bank, 100% microfinance bank in Sudan. I think it's the first bank which introduced Sharia, Islamic laws as the microfinance bank. Anyhow, I very appreciate the panelists, and it was very good, and I do get benefit of it. But my question is, I believe one of Maqasid Al-Shariah is قول الله سبحانه وتعالى حتى لا يكون دولة بين الأغنياء منكم, that the money should not circulate only among the rich people, and it should and the poor people are going to be depreciated from deprived from the money. So my question is, how can we implement that on our Islamic banks? The question is, do Islamic banks really help poor? What is the percentage of finance was given to the poor on our banks?
Thank you very much, ma'am.
And other question is, last question is, for example, to implement Sharia, Maqasid Al-Shariah, can we circulate zakat money in microfinance project for poor? Thank you.
Thank you. And we can collect other questions. I have seen some hands here. Yes, sir. The one on front, and then we have in the back.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you so much for these insightful presentations from all panels. My question is regarding the Islamic finance. Sir, if we see Islamic finance is facing resistance in 2 battles or grounds, from one side, Muslim communities think that Islamic finance is not a real Islamic. And there are a lot of issues, and there are some cut-paste things from conventional banking in finance. So they're not too much interested to invest and come to this banking sector. From other side, Islamic finance is facing with the competition of the conventional finance and banking, which has more innovations, have more resources, have a wide range to do everything compared to Islamic finance. So what's your specific suggestions to these two challenges, and specifically for emerging scholars? One another issue, if we see recently some Western economists and some thinkers says that socialism is again rising and knocking the doors of West in the name of climate change and social development and other things. But actually this is the work and the efforts of the scholars of Islamic finance that they raise these issues, inequality, wealth distribution, and the problem of capitalism. So we Muslim scholars are people from Islamic finance, how we should interact with the capitalism and conventional finance in the ground. Should we see them as a competitor, as enemy, as remove it, or just to say this is not an alternative Islamic finance to them? So I just want to understand our specific position towards capitalism and conventional finance.
Thank you. Yes, sir, in the back.
That's the best way to get it. Yeah, while someone is preparing, may I ask a...
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yes, I've been raising hands. Okay, my name is Bilal Sufi. I'm from Pakistan and lawyer. I was just asking a question with Dr. Billah and the others, whether there has been some study done to compare Maqasid Al-Shariah and their economic usefulness with the existing treaties and conventions that are relating to economic order and the trade and commerce, and see if they also provide supporting environment, or are they in conflict? Thank you.
Okay. Can we first finish this round 3 and then come to you, sir? Is that okay? Dr. Billah, sorry, Professor Billah, can we start with the last question? It was directed to you.
Thank you very much. I think the first question and the second one is quite interrelated. It's quite similar, actually. There are a lot of allegation to Islamic bank and Islamic finance. As we know that at the modern era, the Islamic bank was born in 1963. You know, so now it's just only few decades, but you can see there from the diagram from 1963 till today is about how many decades? Okay, gradually it has been improving. Instrument, policy, guidelines, products, services, and so on. They are working hard. Everybody is working hard. Of course, when a baby is born, baby commit a lot of mistakes, a lot of wrongdoings, and so on. You know, but when it growing and growing and growing, it becomes mature and matured. So we cannot pick up the negative side of the Islamic bank or Islamic banking or financial movement, you know. But we look at the positive side. Look at today, the last time we thought the Islamic banking and finance is meant for only non-Muslim. But today you can see that is equally, Muslim, non-Muslim, both are appreciating Islamic banking and financial products and services. Now, of course, I do agree with first question, second question, that we have many, many aspects whereby still they are not resolving the Sharia matters, the issue yet. And they are working hard, screening. So that's why I do agree, like Qard Hasana note. You know, there is an issue that this morning was raised somewhere. So they mentioned the Qard Hasana note The Qard Hasana, how come we impose any interest or any service charge on that? It's a benevolent loan. But still there are some banks, Islamic banks, who impose what do you call the service charge. Okay? So that's another question, this question. There are some other question also, the financing. First, in Malaysia, for example, they used to practice buy bithaman ajil. Then after that, buy alaina, buy dain, then tawarru. It's gradually, So now, of course, there are some, again to conclude here for both of your question, that there are some shortcomings we do agree, but then it's a gradual effect. They are improving, all right? So this is all about, thank you very much. Third question, he was asking about whether there is any code of.
Actually, can you repeat, sir? We weren't very clear about, I wasn't very clear also about your question.
Yeah, my question was that Maqasid Al-Shariah talk about the economic well-being as a context that you said.
Okay.
The question was, is there a study or a series of studies which have been conducted to compare if the existing international treaties, international law, international trade conventions, international commerce conventions are in conformity with these objectives, or are they in conflict, or they create a space for Maqasid Al-Shariah? Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a very good question. Whatever solution that we are coming up with, even if you look at about the 20 years ago, many people did not know, even the Islamic financial environment, they don't know what it's all about, this climate action finance, how we can come up with the Islamic finance solution, now then the green finance, then sustainable finance, etc. Now we can see a lot of parallel with the conventional, So now, definitely, now the SDGs, like with 17 goals of the sustainable goals, 17 goals. Now we are still working now how we can come up with a solution to this, not 17, it could be more than that, goals based on the principles of zakat, awqaf, sadaqah, tabaru, and so on. So now, in other words, to conclude here, that definitely whatever the contemporary practices in the Islamic and economic environment, they are being seriously studied, and they are the Islamic financial environment, they are tackling one by one. And when they want to tackle it, okay, they go through the heavy research, ulama, Islamic scholars, and researchers and so on, technical groups and so on, and they screen through and come up with a good solution actually. Like our brother mentioned just now, they are going to issue some certificates, something like that, the stock market, something like that. And they are now trying to screen through. They have gone through, but still they're looking for some other solution, how we can screen, or we can come up with a better mechanism to screen the stocks. So of course there are this kind of studies, case studies, solution, they are continuing, but of course they are based on the principles of Maqasid Al-Shariah, i.e. Quran and Sunnah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think Professor Kabir Hassan. Yes, sir. Can we take your question, please?
Yes.
And that will be the final question. Thank you, because we are out of time. Sorry if there are any other questions.
Very wonderful presentation. I'm always, disturbed by the tension between micro maqasid and macro maqasid. Even the product that Borsa Istanbul came out, I'm just curious that actually this Islamic finance industry was advanced by the lawyers, and Sharia scholars are part of it. They look at the form, but they never really look at what is the macro consequences of that product, like murabaha and different forms it taken over the years. Even sukuk, whether it is creating more debt into the economy. Ultimately, even though we give the Islamic, we create, as long as it is created, like sukuk, for example, for new thing, new construction, something will generate. But majority of the sukuk at one time, Taqi Usmani said 85% of the sukuk market are really not Sharia compliant because it's simply monetizing some existing asset. Like all the European, okay, Germany has, issued sukuk, so, gung-ho about it. They are accepting our Islam. Not really. Actually, they are sucking our money into the German economy, using a building, will never have the right to sell it. So what I'm trying to say, actually, this is also my research question. Whenever, like in the United States, whenever a new law is passed or about to be passed, they do a analysis whether it will be net effect. Is there any mechanism the industry follow or make a guideline? Then when you come with a new product, let's do a test or feasibility, what is the macro impact of this instrument? Because otherwise you'll get into this all financialization in the name of Islamic finance, specifically Islamic banking product.
Thank you very much, Professor.
If you have anything to share with me, I'll really appreciate.
Thank you very much. I believe it's upon the scholars of our, all the scholars globally and also in Turkey. As Borsa Istanbul, we are just providing the platform, right? But I absolutely agree with you. It's very important. That perspective is very, very important, and it needs to be certainly observed and analyzed. Would you like to say?
If I may, one of the participants, he made a remark, I think, gentleman here, it's about the perception of public, and they think Islamic finance same as conventional finance. So this is question, and it is a very important question, and we should not avoid this question. Why the public think Islamic finance is similar to conventional finance? If you go to a bank in any country, if they say, look, we have a commodity muraba for you, and then if they ask a couple of questions, they will immediately say, this is a cash lending. An average person will tell you this. And if you have this type of product, what do we expect people to have a perception? And we cannot judge this perception because these people are ignorant, because we should not try to defend something which is not Islamic. If we are Muslim, we should try to do things Islamic, Sharia compliant, Islamic manner. And we should not keep, the blame the public for this perception.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I want to address the question from sister from Sudan. Can Islamic bank serve poor people? I can say yes. If you look at the Grameen Bank, they can serve poor people, but they have a specific strategy, right? They're using a business model of group lending. In Indonesia, we have BTPN Sharia. Actually, this bank is the second biggest Islamic bank in Indonesia in terms of capital. And the performance is very nice. The financing to deposit ratio is about 90%, and the non-performing loan is about 1%. In general, in Indonesia, we have 3 different type of financial institutions. We have commercial bank, we have microfinance. In microfinance, we have 4,000 microfinance. And in the social finance, we have around 700 institutions. So, yes, we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would like to answer to Professor Kabir Hassan's his concern. Very good concern, actually. In fact, just to add, not clarification, because what he mentioned is a very good idea. When the Islamic financial product being designed, okay, though it is meant for micro, for example, individual, personal, there are products, but impact is a macro. All right, the objective is a wider objective. All right, for example, when there is, let's say, the Mudaraba, for example, Mudaraba contract, for example. In Mudaraba contract, though the contract involved with individual or maybe group, let's say individual, is a micro, conceptually micro, but impact is macro. For example, here, this from the Mudaraba contract, whereby an individual will be benefiting, a company, the operator will be benefiting, there will be zakat portion, you understand that? If there is a profit, there is zakat will be helping the poor, There will be also the human resources also will be benefiting. So in other words, whenever it's integrated package. So now when we design, though it looks like a micro, but impact is a macro. This is just an addition to Prof. Kabir Hassan, whatever mentioned. Okay, thank you very much.
I believe we have now arrived at the end of our session. I think it was a very lively and interesting session. Thank you very much for all the insightful comments.